breaking every chain that binds you. We need each other now more than ever. Clearly.
Greetings and welcome to another episode of Music Mind. My name is Shem Meluce and with me is
Shem Meluce.
um, today we're going to be speaking a little bit on the second verse of the song Lead the Way, which is the title track of the album Lead the Way and track number 11.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so last week we shared on Share It With Them. Share it with them, and I believe we got a few requests, specifically from TRX.
He was saying this is one of his favorite songs, still his favorite. So, we just decided that we're going to do that today. And we want to shout out to even him sharing it the last time and see our family.
Yes.
So it was a pleasure having you all there.
Thank you so much. Mr. Shem Meluce, can you tell us what exactly was the inspiration behind the song Lead the Way, and how did it get to become the title track?
Well, Lead the Way, there's nothing specific about it. The song, I will explain it a little bit. However, as you put songs together, when you look at what they each speak about and how you place them, you realize there is a song that stands out and should be leading the entire list of songs. That is why it is the title track. As it pertains to what it speaks about and the inspiration behind it, I must say I cannot remember for sure when I wrote it, how I wrote it. If I go back into my file, I could see, but I know it was during the latter part of 2018. I was overloaded with material in my head. I had gone through a period of loss in my life and a lot of things, from friends to brother and family members. So I was overloaded with material. Now, me being a social writer, one who speaks to matters of emotion, matters of destruction, reality, I did the same thing. And so, Lead the Way speaks to that. I was in a place, I know other persons were in a place where they needed guidance, needed direction. So this song is a song that really speaks to that, the whole direction that we need as a people at every time in our life, but more specifically in a time when we are at our lowest point.
And right now, the world seems to be at one of its lowest points. I don't know if I could say that for every single individual. I mean, there are millionaires. But yes, with this global pandemic, we have individuals who have gone through really tumultuous times, really tough times, and would definitely be needing some guidance as to what next do I do, how do I maneuver through this difficult time that I am facing right now. And you said that you wrote this song not necessarily from a personal perspective, but also you write from also a perspective where you see what people are going through, those around you, friends, family, strangers, and you write about that as well.
Yes, yes.
Is there a particular reason for not focusing? I know a lot of the time when writers write, I mean, I'm a writer, and a lot of my material it stems from where I am at the moment and how I see society at the moment. Can you speak a little on why you integrate what others feel and what others experience in your writing?
Um, I am no different from any other person. I am an ordinary individual, as we all are ordinary individuals. So, whatever, if you go through loss, I would go through loss the same way. Um, we may experience it differently. We may deal with it differently as well. So that's why when I write, some stuff will be about me, but it can also be related to others because they go through it as well. So it's as simple as that, or as difficult as that. So this song was and is something, an example of one of those things.
Okay, so lead the way. Who specifically would you like to lead the way?
Well, leading the way, it's a nice question that you ask. Um, Generally, persons would say, God will lead our way. So I hold the same view, the Yahweh God. Now, I don't want to just say God because, we have a lot of gods in the place, and I'm talking about a God that is not tangible, that you cannot touch. You just feel the presence, and hence the reason why I want to say a Yahweh God or Jehovah, so persons could understand where I am coming from when I speak to God. And yes, the song, I mean, we have not gone into the song, but I could speak of the song because we'll play it in a little bit. And since we'll talk about the second verse mainly, but the first verse leads to the second verse and the chorus as well. So many trust in kings and governments to lead the land. Some trust in the president as the man who has the plan. But I stand firm on your word, true to the calling. I place it all in your hand because you are worthy. And at the time, I want to speak to that. At the time when I wrote this, I had no idea of what the present state of the world. And because remember, it was 2018, I didn't foresee that. That was not part of my, not at all. However, I see the song as a prophetic song because right now we live in a time where persons are looking for answers, persons are looking for people to give them jobs. They want vaccines, they are looking to the doctors, they are looking, even persons who never believed in doctors before are now searching, oh man, we need a vaccine, we need something. No one really, well, maybe I should say that a little better. But a lot of people don't know what is going on. Many persons are unaware and many persons are seeking answers. So you have the prime ministers of various nations and the presidents seeking solutions. How do we protect our people? How do we protect our jobs, our shores? And we want to create barriers. We don't want to do all these things. And clearly we see we cannot even fully trust them. So hence the reason why this song Lead the Way goes beyond the power of men and it goes to a source. Now, you have some people that don't believe in God. So, whether it's an energy that you believe in, that greater being, I call Yahweh the God of the Bible, Jehovah the God of the Bible. This is why I speak of um, as that unseen being that will guide in that peaceful time, in that quiet place and all that thing. So this is why I speak of when I say lead the way.
Lead the way.
Lead me the right way.
The right way, definitely, because we know we have some leaders who don't lead in the right way.
Oh yes.
We have peers who don't lead. They are leaders within the the little group, within the informal groups, but they are not positive leaders. They are not leading the right way. So be sure to be led the right way, and hopefully we'll go into a little detail as to how you could be more positively led. But before we delve further, we're going to have a listen um, to the track number 11 on the Lead the Way album, Lead the Way. The official music video was uploaded to YouTube, so we could share the link. We will share the link in the description. But do have a listen.
See you guiding my steps all day. I am here on the pathway. See, when the times are tough and I feel like give it up, yeah. When I feel unhappy in the place I am at the moment. See, yes, I wanna run away. Don't wanna hear what no one says. But in my quiet place, you reach me. And in my brokenness, you teach me that only you can lead the way, lead the right way. I see you guiding my steps all day, and I'm here on the pathway. Only you can lead the way, lead me the right way. See you guiding my steps all day, and I'm here on the pathway.
So every time I listen to this song, it's such a refreshing song, and it speaks really to the realities that every single person go through, and that is one of the things that I recognize in your writing as well. Um, the song is very relevant. You said that it was in 2018 that you wrote it, and yet it is relevant today, and it will be relevant 10, 20 years down the line. Um, but this song, it says in this, we're focusing on the second verse, of course,
Yeah.
but it says here, when times are tough and I feel like giving up and I feel unhappy in the place I am at the moment, I just want to run away. This is a place everybody has been. Everybody could relate to that, no matter how minute or how grave the situation that brought us to that place is. We have all been to that place.
Absolutely, because it just brings together all of humanity. While we may try to differentiate ourselves by this, by that, by whatever it is that create the divide, um, because this is what causes destruction. We look at our differences rather than our similarities, which is what causes the problem most of the time. So when we look at our similarities, we now become a tight-knitted humanity. So when the times are tough, I guarantee you there is no one, like you said, that has not gone or been through a tough time.
Mhm.
So this is where we can tie our thing together. I can guarantee you there is not an individual who has not felt like running away. Whether you didn't do it physically, you did it in your mind.
Mhm.
So these are the places where we meet together as humanity and we could all relate. And then it goes on further to say, don't want to hear what no one says. So you're talking about persons, really, as we delve deeper into that, persons who are in a place of distress, persons in a place where they just don't have the answer. They just cannot seem to find it. Not because they don't have the answer, but just because the state of mind is not allowing them to think clearly. So they want to get out, get away, and be at peace in that quiet space.
As you speak of distress, what comes to mind is depression, which is an issue around the world. It's a global issue and an issue that is very very important. Like we really need to touch on those issues and what exactly is depression? How do we see the signs of it? And how do we help people through those times of depression? Depression is something that is very, like I said, universal. We all go through episodes of depression, and it can get to a point where it could be chronic and very deadly.
Yeah, it's very true.
And this song touches. I mean, not directly, but when we go through this song, you hear of in your place of brokenness and in your you feel like you want to run away, you feel like you want to isolate yourself from all what is happening right now. And that in itself shows that there is someone in a place of depression.
Yes, yes. And we have known that depression leads to other things. Right here on our island, right here within the Caribbean, but more specifically to St. Lucia, we know of the high rise in suicide. And more so our men, it almost seems that our men cannot handle problems. I know we say a lot that women talk a lot, and maybe that is one of the deliverance for them. They vent and they share, they express themselves, and that is vital. It is therapeutic to talk and speak to what is hurting you, what is affecting you, what I need, what I don't need. So women share that a little more, and so they get that kind of relief. Men tend to keep it inside, um, have a persona of I have it under control while building up cancer, while dying inside. And then to add to that, we use the methods that are more lethal. So we cannot even almost committed suicide. By the time we do it, we have committed suicide. So, um, yes, this is the result of when we go to a place of depression. And this song speaks to that place. But we need to hear something when we are at that place. We need to hear a voice.
It's interesting that you say you highlight the difference between men and women, and I mean, while there may be some truth to it, I just want to admonish men: speak up, speak up. As difficult as it may seem, speak up. Society has sort of bred men in such a way to believe that if you speak about your issues, if you speak about the hurts that you feel, if you cry even, that you are at a point of weakness. And let me just say that a man who cries is not a weak man. I think the man who cries is a man who is strong and who understands that it is a natural human emotion. It is a natural human response to cry. And this is one of the reasons you have men holding and bottling up things. And teach your boys, don't teach your boys to cry at every little situation, but teach them to understand that it is all right to cry. And maybe that is one of the ways we could start to build a society where suicide is not the only way out. And we see here the higher incidence of suicide falls on men. It is men who commit suicide the greatest.
Yeah. Very unfortunate, but I am happy that you said that because I was going to ask the question how do we now implement or promote or admonish our boys to be more in touch with their emotions? And I would say yes, it has to start in the next generation. So you have to start it from a whole fresh generation and teach them and let them know that yes, be in tune with your emotion. In as much as you are in tune with anger, be in tune with your emotions. Crying as we speak to that, because when you look at sporting events and how the guys get happy for cricket and football and table tennis or whatever, we do have emotions. So yes.
Yes, the emotions are there. It's just that for some reason, one specific one is stifled.
Yeah.
And it's that great sadness. Men always want to feel like they have it under control, so they don't want to expose their weakness. But it is not weakness.
Yeah.
With suicide, though, we have a great amount of suicide. And in an earlier conversation we were having, we spoke about this young man who took his life and suggested that his family would have been better off.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, yeah, I actually have a song. One of the songs on the album speak briefly to that situation. I remember a friend of mine sent me the article when I read it. Um, it was looking like just a story that is far fetched, but as I read deeper, I realized it's right here on the island, and I did my studies and I saw that. So what happened is that this young boy he was actually gay, and he didn't feel like he fit in properly into his family and basically the community. So taking his life for him was really to relieve the parents of the burden of him. And it is sad when a child has to resort to that because he or she cannot be themselves. And I know this is a very ticklish issue because we talk about homosexuality versus persons who are Christians and Muslims and all the other religions, and some don't advocate to that type of lifestyle and all of that thing. But what I'm getting at is while one does not um, support that kind of lifestyle, there is something beyond that. You support the individual in offering help to the individual. It does not mean that you support the choice, the sexual orientation, and the lifestyle. But going deeper and delving into that sense of care for humanity, if we have that, we will know how to relate to persons of whatever sexual orientation that they choose.
And that brings me back to our previous video, share the love. And how do we share the love? Practically, you may not necessarily be in total agreement with the lifestyle choices of that individual, but does that restrict you from doing the good that you need to do? Does that prevent you from lending a hand when you see that it's visibly needed? You understand? Um, and with suicide, I remember a few years ago, a friend of mine called me from Grenada and said, hey, this individual um, is contemplating committing suicide. And he just wanted me to reach out to that particular individual. And we spoke and spoke and spoke to the point where he was able to get to the individual before anything were to happen. And thankfully, that person did not commit suicide. A lot of the time, when people are on the verge, there is always something they say, or a lot of the time people say these things, and you think this guy is just joking. That will not happen. But I just want to say, take it seriously when people say that they're going to do things. If they say, I'm going to kill myself, do not take it lightly. Never take it lightly.
Truly, and again, I mean, these are things that persons need to do their own research on and keep abreast with how we are as human beings. And I mean, right here in Saint Lucia, and I know the other parts of the world, the same. There are numbers that you could call if you suspect that someone is planning suicide. There are hotlines that you could do that. So the other thing though is know the signs, know the the displays, the different things that persons display that will send an alert and say, wow, this person is at risk. This person has the tendency to do that. So we need to be vigilant. We need to be our brother's keeper and be able to lead the way in taking the initiative and making the call. Now, I know some people will do things like, I'm not sure if the decision I'm making is right, so that's why I didn't do it, and all those kinds of things. But it's better you do it and maybe you were wrong rather than you think you're right by not doing it and you were wrong. So, know the signs.
Yes, and a lot of the time, before someone gets to a place where they want to commit suicide, they tend to get to a point of grave depression, chronic depression. And it is important to pay attention to those around you, especially your loved ones. If you don't know them, it will be easy for you to pass those signs. I cannot imagine being in a household with an individual and not knowing that this person is usually a bubbly, bubbly, bubbly person, and then for the past few weeks, this person has been on a down low. Those drastic changes in personality, those drastic changes in eating habits, even eating too much or eating too little, those drastic changes in mode of speech. Maybe that person speaks less, or that person speaks more negativity, or this person isolates themselves. Loss of weight, gain of weight, all of those things, loss of hair, all of those things are signs, and we need to be vigilant, and we need to be aware of those around us, those in our household, those close friends of ours who may be at a point where they're depressed. And that in itself, just being aware of that, and taking that initiative before it gets too far, can prevent a possible suicide.
Very correct. Very correct.
So as we go back into the song, it says, "But in my quiet place, in my quiet place, you reach me, and in my brokenness, you teach me that only you can lead the way." And of course, everything we've been speaking about here tonight speaks to brokenness and a place of distress. It's really clear. I mean, I'm sure when you were writing that song, depression was not specific in your mind.
Not at all. But because you speak to life, you speak to the situations, that is automatic. And in my quiet place, you reach me. You ever try finding somebody in a crowd, like calling the name, music playing, it doesn't make sense. It's useless. You have to actually go next to them, touch them, and you have to even go to the front of them, because people could be passing and just rubbing and touching on them. So, in noise, it's not a good communication place. So the running away is healthy. Um, Once running away to suicide, but you go into this place for mental clearance, for peace. That's fine. So in your quiet place is when you will hear.
And we're not encouraging people to run away, like teenagers to run away.
Oh no, we're not talking about
that kind of,
and those things.
not that kind of running away.
We're talking about getting to this place where you actually want clarity. You want to understand what is happening. You want to get closer to God. This is where you do that. And let me tell you, a solo journey, when you want to get to that place with God, a higher level, you can't go with a crowd. You have to go quietly the way. And then we see the scripture speaks to that. And it says, God's strength, His strength is made perfect in weakness, for when I am weak, then He's strong. So it talks to dependency. Basically, depending on
God.
Exactly. So in like manner, when we are in this quiet place, or at the state of brokenness, that is the only way we can get help. I wouldn't need a doctor if I'm not sick. The same way, if my car isn't broken down, there's no need for me to check the mechanic. So I go to my phone now. My car is broken down, so I need the mechanic. So that is where we are as a people when we get to that point. And I want to say that being in that place of brokenness is not always a bad thing. For this is the place where you can get help. And then that's even a place where you recognize your vulnerability, something that you may have never recognized before. So, lead the way.
Yes, yes. Certainly, if you are not at a place of weakness, you will not seek strength. If you're not, and with every level, you may get to the highest level that you think you could physically get at this present moment, but even at that point, there is a moment where you feel that you need to go further,
True.
and the desire to go further is always, always, always there. And we must understand to rely on a greater source. There is something greater. And we understand that God is our greater, our supreme being, you know. So we've been discussing the second verse of the Lead the Way um, title track,
Yes.
the title track, track number 11 of the Lead the Way album. And of course, though we touch on suicide and we touch on depression, that is just a perspective from the song. And as you listen to the song, you may relate to it differently, or you may relate to it in a very similar way. But we're just encouraging, if you are at a point of brokenness, if you're at a point where you feel that you are weak, there is always a God ready to strengthen you. And let me say that though we seek God to lead our way, God may be using us to be that leader, to lead someone. And we also need to be open to being that leader, to stretching forth that hand.
Not only that, we also need to recognize when God is using someone to help guide us.
That
Because
is true.
sometimes we may try to ignore that and speak to people, you are not God, I'm waiting for God. And He's basically using a vessel right there, and we are pushing this vessel.
Yes. So we could be a vessel that God is desiring to use to lead someone else, and He could use someone to be that vessel to guide us
Absolutely.
as well. So, like we were saying, depression, anxiety, suicide, know the signs, be vigilant, be aware of those around you, and take special note if things seem a little amiss, and don't take it for granted. If they're saying things that seem a bit crazy or a bit funny, sometimes we say things funny and they're not necessarily funny. So thanks again for viewing. We have come to the end of our second episode of Music Mind with Shem Meluce, the author of Lead the Way, and the one behind the Lead the Way album. So thank you for joining us, and hope to see you again next time.
Thank you very much. Let's see many trust in kings and governments to lead the land. Some trust in the president as a man who has a plan. But I stand firm on your word, true to the calling. I place it all in your hand. You are worthy. And only you can lead the way, lead me the right way. I see you guiding my steps all day, and I'm here on the pathway. You can lead the way, lead me the right way. I see you guiding my steps all day, and I'm here on the pathway. I love you, black woman. I won't hurt you, never desert you. I'll be there for you. My strong black woman, I won't hurt you, never desert you. I'll be there for you. I love you, black woman.